We can begin. So, hello, and thank you all for being here today with us to support innovation and SMEs in the wine industry. And first, we would like to thank you, the European Commission and the program Cluster Goes International for making this project possible. So I'm Gilles Brianceau. I'm the director of the French cluster Innovin, which is a project coordinator, project called EPAWI by WICA. So it begins with some acronyms. There is a lot of acronyms in the world of European and project in general, and we will get to explaining them later. But first I would like to give you a few technical reminders. First, if you have any questions, please write them in the dedicated Q&A area. We will answer any technical Zoom question during the webinar, and then the questions regarding the project will be answered during the Q&A session at the end of the presentation. So don't hesitate to ask us anything. Second, there will be some interactive questions during the presentation. So if you want to go ahead and open Menti, menti.com, MENTI.com, in another tab or on your smartphone, you will just have to type the code we will give you later on, or use the link that we will send in the chat. And third, the webinar is recorded and will be uploaded to our YouTube channel. So now, on behalf of all the partners of this project that you will have the chance to meet during the next hour, we would like to thank you for joining us this morning. We probably don't need to explain you the importance of innovation in the wine industry. If you are here, I think that you already believe it and are trying to implement more of it, especially in today's world of climate change, extreme weather variations, logistic problems, environmental issues, etc. So we are here to introduce a unique alliance which aims to foster innovation on a global level, to try and raise awareness for innovation and connect innovation among different countries and different actors, so that in the end, all wine producing countries may have the chance to work together to tackle the challenges faced by the industry today and to share knowledge, especially through international development of suppliers. So, what is Wine Innovation Cluster Alliance? Clusters is in the title of our initiative, and our project is made up of a group of 4 European clusters I will present just after. And just in case there is anyone who is not familiar with the concept of cluster, we bring together groups of different stakeholders in a specific industry, wine industry for us. That means grape growers and winemakers, naturally, but also supplier companies, research institutions, and public institutions. And the goal is to try and tackle the challenges faced by the wine industry, to coordinate pilot testing and apply the research project, working group among the actors, as well as promotional and business support for our supplier members, supporting competitiveness in this industry. So now, I have the pleasure of briefly introducing the partners of the project. So Wine and Vine Cluster from Spain, France, Portugal, and an agri-food cluster from Italy, with the technical support from Vinidea, which is specialist in technical updating in the wine sector, and Vinidea is based in Italy also. So Innovin is a French wine and vine cluster, represented by myself and Gracie Bolland. Innovi, which is a Spanish cluster from Catalonia, represented by Victor Martin and Eloy Montacado. Advid, which is a Portuguese cluster, represented by Catarina Barbosa and Lilia Carvalho. Agri-food, which is a cluster from Italy, represented by Michela Martorelli, and represented also by Vinidea with Gianni Tuioli and Céline Caffo. They all will speak some today, so you will have the chance to meet them and ask questions to them also. And now Gracie will continue to explaining the project and how it may be interest to you. Sorry. Thank you.
Thank you, Gilles. And first, Celine, we'd like to get to know you. So Celine, can you ask the first interactive question, please?
Yes, thank you, Gracie. So hello, everybody. For the people not knowing me, my name is Celine. As you can see, we would like to know where you're from. So I can see somebody has already replied. Brazil. If you don't know how it works or if you missed the explanation, you can see it on the slide. You can go to www.menti.com and use the code that you can see. Otherwise, you can use directly the link that I'm pasting now on the chat. That could be a little easier if you are from a computer. So I see basically that people are coming from a lot of countries. Okay, so we have mainly European country, Brazil. Okay, I've seen that already 20 people have replied, so we're gonna leave you a little more to come back to us and let us know. Some people from Bordeaux. Okay, of course you can also say, okay, very good, Xavier Pépinière. Very good, thank you. You can choose to say also your company if you want, so that's a good idea. So, okay, I see also people replying in the chat. France Bordeaux, thank you, Isabelle. Isabelle, you might also want to use the system www.menti.com to reply as you want for the rest of it. And okay, from Bordeaux, Parsec, Moldova also, very interesting. Very nice. Well, okay, thank you for your answer. And anyway, you will be able to participate to a survey that we will explain later, where you can give more information about yourself. So I will give back the floor to my colleague.
Thank you, Celine. So yes, it's really interesting to see where everyone's from. And as you'll see, so this project, the founders are the 4 clusters that Gilles explained, but then our goal is to expand to work with other countries in Europe and also in third countries. So I'm Gracie Boland. I work with Gilles at Innovant and also the project manager of the project WICA. So the next few minutes, I'm going to explain what exactly is WICA and the project that helps us get there, EPAWI. So our main goals. The first is to promote a resilient value chain of the grape and wine sector through global cluster and BSO cooperation. So as Gilles explained before, the importance of clusters is bringing all of the actors together. And what we've noticed, and that I think you can see as well, is there are many regional clusters, regional and national BSO, so business support organization groups. And the goal of WICA is to kind of combine these clusters and BSOs in the wine industry to make it stronger and to bring everyone together on an international level. The second is to face the challenges presented by the grape and wine producers through cross-sectoral innovation and also auxiliary company involvement. So I think many of you here connected today are part of the auxiliary industry. There are also some cross-sectoral participants and also as well some grape and wine producers here. So the idea is to really understand the challenges that you or your clients face every day and to be able to respond to those through innovation. And the goal of EPAWI and WICA is to detect these innovations and be able to transfer them to other countries. And then thirdly, which connects to the second point, to promote and to facilitate the international development of auxiliary companies. So one of also the main goals of the project EPAWI and WICA, the Wine Innovation Cluster Alliance, is to support European SMEs in their international development with collective missions, because together we are stronger, and maybe also detecting cross-sectoral innovations that can be adapted to the wine industry and bringing them to the third countries. So that's kind of the idea, the main base of the Wine Innovation Cluster Alliance. And then throughout the whole presentation, you'll see what we're doing to achieve these three main goals. So now I'm going to talk a little bit about the timeline of the project, so where we are. So we're in the second step, I would say, of the projects. The first was understanding the challenges of the wine growers in and outside of Europe. And so later today, we're going to be presenting you results of a survey that was sent to over 800, that was answered by over 800 wine producers, showing their main challenges. And at the same time, we're identifying business support organizations in third countries to also be able to expand that survey to third country producers. And right now, the main idea of the project and why you're here today is also to identify solutions from the supplier companies that correspond to the wine growers' needs. So that's really kind of the main idea of today, is to, of course, to present the project, our main goals, and to also talk about how the auxiliary industry can be involved in WICA. So after we have identified solutions from supplier companies, the next steps are organizing international missions and events through a joint internationalization strategy, and also coordinating some business agreements through this project, which of course the final goal of establishing WICA, the Wine Innovation Cluster Alliance, as a stable organization. So that will be the main goal after the 3 years of this project. And so just to kind of visualize all of the different stakeholders, because there are a lot in our project. So we have the main challenges faced by wine growers, which we'll be introduced to, which I'm sure you're aware you work with every day. And we were able to prioritize these in a survey form. We have the wine industry supplier solutions, which many of you provide. And then also cross-sectoral supplier solutions. So for example, maybe there's a digital cluster in Germany or an environmental cluster in Greece. The idea is to all work together to be able to provide innovative and tailored solutions for the challenges. And also, of course, with the support of business support organizations and the research institutes providing knowledge. And so now my colleagues from ADVID, Katerina Barbosa, will present kind of the advantages for each of these stakeholders that we've talked about.
Thank you, Gracie. Good morning, everyone. So as said before, there are many advantages for different type of entities. For the wine growers, for example, WICA represents a great opportunity to share the main challenges, to identify dedicated and innovation solutions to their needs, and also to establish connections with other wine growers from other wine producing countries. These advantages are mainly materialized through the access to the survey results, to the solutions from auxiliary SMEs, and also by the participation in technical conferences and collaborative projects. We would like to highlight the great opportunities, especially for the supplier companies, that with this alliance could have direct access to the main needs of the wine growers, and so have access to the market information, and also develop an international support. These opportunities are mainly achieved through the access to the results of the survey of the wine growers, the producers, through the ecosystem studies the business and knowledge sharing trips, and also through the participation in international events. So these opportunities for the supplier companies mirror the motto that the stronger, that we are stronger when we are together with all the efforts combined. Please, Gracie, thank you. Also for business support organizations and research centers, there are a lot of opportunities and advantages. For example, for BSOs, it is expected that WICA could allow a win-win for the members, the expansion of the scope of their work, and also across sectorial collaboration, mainly through the information regarding the European vine and wine ecosystem, also through a new visibility platforms such as open days and webinars, and also through the participation in collaborative projects. Regarding the research centers, WICA will provide a huge opportunity for participation in international projects to establish cross-sectorial collaborations and also increase their visibility, mainly through the possibility to test and adapt their solutions in third, and through the information regarding the vine and wine ecosystem from Europe. I will pass to Gracie. Gracie, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Katerina, for talking about these advantages. And so we've been talking a lot about this producer survey and the challenges that we have seen through wine producer challenges. And I'd like to introduce Eloy Montecada and Victor Martin from EPAWI, who will be explaining the preliminary results of the survey.
Hello, good morning, everyone. Thank you, Gracie. Just a quick overview on main data of the survey. As you can see, the survey has been responded by more than 800 actors, stakeholders from the wine supply chain. So it's amazing the amount of answers we've got. So and especially from more than 30 countries. So as you will see in this presentation, we are going to show you results not in the aggregate mode. We are also show you some results split country by country. But before starting and seeing the answers, let's see if you are aligned or not with the respondents. Now we are going to launch the second interactive question. So in one word, just in one word, okay, of course, if you want to add 2 words, okay, it's up to it's okay for us. Which is your biggest challenge in wine production, whatever, in vineyards, winery, administrative office, or even in sales? Okay, so we've got some seconds to answer this second question. Come on.
And the link is also in the chat.
Yes, you can use the same link that for the first question. Only 3 respondents, come on. Okay. Labor is in the first position. Wow, climate change reached the first one. Some words related with digitalization, robotization, digitalization with an S without an Z. you know, digitizing. I think these all these words have the same aim or the same meaning. But definitely, I think climate change will be in the first position from almost the beginning to the end. Just a few seconds more. 4.0, also related with digitalization, robotization, automatization, digital technologies. Okay, nice. Okay, Gracie, do you think we can go to the first slide of the survey, the official
Yes.
survey? And as you answer, definitely climate change is the first and most important challenge for the grape and wine supply chain. As you can see, all the challenges in your right or in the right side of the screen are related more or less with climate change. The first one is explicit, but yield is related with climate change, water scarcity. So almost 50% of the challenges are related with climate change. And in the left hand, we've got two challenges that there are also quite close, related with disease and pesticides. So if we can group these main challenges, we can say that we've got climate change, disease and pesticides, and cost management. Of course, in the questionnaire, these challenges, in this case, related with grape growing, but we also split these challenges in country by country. I don't know, Grace, if you can see it. For instance, this is one of the different slides we've got from this questionnaire, and as you can see, there are some differences between countries. In this, if we can mention some hotspot, for instance, is that water scarcity in France is less important than in other countries, and as well as cost management. No, in the Mediterranean countries, cost management is a very, very important challenge. So it give us some, you know, clues in where, if you are an industry supplier, you can invest or investigate depending on the countries. If you go to the next slide, you can see a different presentation of a challenge. In this case, drought. Of course, it's a Mediterranean problem, but not only. For instance, Austria and Germany show a medium prioritization, or also show some worries about drought. So if you want to investigate in drought, Spain, Greece, some other countries have the drought as the main challenge, but not only them. I think you can also sell some products, some plants resistant to drought in Germany or Austria. Another way to show you how deep we go in this questionnaire is we ask for a main challenge, in this case, for instance, spraying, but we want to know the reason of why this is one of your main challenge. And in this case, for instance, regarding to spraying, we can say that consumers and effectiveness are the two main drivers to invest or to put efforts in spraying. There are some differences by countries. For instance, in France, consumers are the main drivers for the reduction of use of pesticides, but also the effectiveness, not only in the organic products, also in the conventional agriculture. The lack of effectiveness is a very important challenge. It's a very important. How to say? No, we need to invest. We need to investigate in this sense. And finally, a similar example that do with phytosanitaries or pesticides, we do it in climate change. And again, if we want to know why climate change is one of the main challenges, we can say that drought is the main one, and of course the consequences of the drought, that is the reduction of the yield, you know, and even the unpredictability of this yield year by year. So these are some examples of how we tackle the challenges, in this case regarding to grape growing. We do that in the different stages in the value chain, and now we are going to see what happened with the next step, when once the grape have been harvested, what happened when we produce wine. So Victor, the floor is yours.
Okay, thank you, Eloy. So as you saw, we already knew you would say climate change, and so we were right to put that last slide. Thank you, Eloy. So Eloy is an agronomist, so he's focused on the first part. So now I'll talk about the rest of the value chain until we reach the consumer. And we'll start with a very broad approach. What are the main challenges in the winery? We're not even talking about the process of winemaking, but what happens when you enter the winery? What are the first things that we have to bear in mind? So what we see here, it's the results were very clear. We have almost an 80% of reduction of consumption, of boosting recycling. So we are aware that climate change is here, and we see that companies are aligned with those challenges and are working to decrease, especially energy consumption related to cooling the grapes once they reach the winery. So if we go a little bit deeper, we've seen the energy consumption in general, but okay, let's talk about the winemaking process. What are the main challenges there? So as you see, climate change is also a driver. You see that there are some lines that are very transversal, or they will appear in different sides of the presentation. So here we also talk about imbalances in the acidity alcohol ratio, obtaining healthier wine. I don't think we've mentioned it, but you have to bear in mind that these are still provisional results. We opened the survey and we wanted to close it, but we think in these events we'll have the opportunity to reach to more end users. And there is where we'll enrich the presentation. So their final results may be a little bit different, but we see some trends that we know that, for sure now, that we have to focus on. And well, it says here reducing pesticides. We would talk more about preservatives, but there's also a driver. But when we talk about reducing preservatives, can we go a little bit deeper? And so that's what we did in this next slide. We specified sulfites, and okay, we know that's a concern for the European people, but how important is it in the different countries? So as you can see here, in Portugal, in Sweden, and in the United Kingdom, the people that responded to our survey said that it was one of the main concerns. As Eloy said before, that doesn't mean that's not important on the rest of the countries, but that means that for these consumers or for these end users, they've detected that reducing sulfites in their product is one of the main drivers. And again, the idea is to give you tools in order, for example, if you have a technology that monitors the sulfites in your wine, what could be the potential markets where you could start and you would have a better acceptance of your product. If we move to the next one, please. We also wanted to reach those other processes. When we talk about enology or innovation in enology, we always imagine the press, the grapes, the variety selection, but we have to talk about shipping in the 21st century, and especially after the pandemic, where the logistics have changed. And what we see is that also this climate change awareness makes the end users focus on two main challenges, which are delivery of small batches. These can be related to the online sales that are also one of the other big drivers. We see small differences on the different countries, and I would just like to highlight on the information exchange with logistics, where France seems to step ahead, and they know they need this data. We've also identified the lack of data on the decision-making process of the wineries as one of the main drivers. And so, as you can see, we have details from processes, and then if you go deeper and deeper, you can always get more information. And then the last slide, regards office work. Again, one of the aspects that sometimes we forget is all the bureaucracy management, the training of employees, you know, especially in the harvest, during the harvest, we have to hire a lot of people. So what we see is that bureaucracy management is one of the main challenges. So again, if anyone has a solution for that, I think the clusters too will appreciate it, because we need a lot in the wine industry. We need a lot of paperwork. But then, okay, so data acquisition and management also is an important driver. Again, if we didn't want to overwhelm you with results. We just wanted to give you a little taste of what we had. But the idea is to give the companies a tool that will be useful to direct their strategies. So thank you, Gracie, whenever you want.
Thank you, Victor, for these interesting results. So yes, as Victor said, so we're able to see kind of the general needs, all of the countries put together, and then to look at them more specifically. So we chose to show the results for the 4 partner countries for now, and also showing the USA, which is one of our target countries for the joint internationalization strategy that we'll be talking to you now about. And just one last thing about the survey. So we'll be doing the preliminary results, and then also some research scientists from the University of Bordeaux will also be able to do some cross analysis. So the goal is to keep this survey open for more months throughout the project, to really be able to have some more concrete results to again help the auxiliary and supplier companies to allocate your resources to which country to go to and to which needs to prioritize. So about the internationalization strategy. So for the next, I think 10 minutes before we will answer your questions and kind of discuss with the participants here. So the idea to expand, to try to promote innovation from Europe to third country wine producing countries. So who is involved? So the suppliers, the auxiliary industry, so that we may understand your needs in international development. And so Lilia from Advid in the next slide, she'll explain to you this supplier survey. But just as we wanted to understand the needs of wine producers, we also want to understand the needs of the auxiliary industry, which without the auxiliary industry, we wouldn't have the wine that we have today. We're also going to talk about a crowd writing narrative contest. And so this opens some visibility and some funding for the supplier companies. And then next we'll talk about ecosystem studies and target countries and collective missions and international events. So as you see, it's written joint internationalization strategy. The idea is that we all work together. So the people that are interested, the companies that are interested in WICA and building up together. So we'll present to you some propositions, and then the idea is to work together to create a joint internationalization strategy. And so Lilia, can you please tell us about the survey?
Well, hi everyone. So about the supplier survey, this is indeed an essential step for WICA, as it is the base of the joint internationalization strategy, and it intends to understand the international development needs of the auxiliary industry, and also to understand how to allocate the resources to promote the international development of suppliers. So we will be sending you through chat the link to answer this survey. So if you are a supplier entity, please take this opportunity and answer our survey. Thank you.
But maybe not right now, maybe at the end of the presentation.
No, not right now.
Yes, so thank you, Lilia. And so this again will help us to be able to form the joint internationalization strategy together based on the needs of these suppliers. And so the next part of the joint internationalization strategy is a contest. And so you might be saying, what exactly is a crowd writing narrative contest? So as part of the EPAWI project, to be able to provide visibility and also funding to some innovative supplier companies, we have created a crowd writing narrative contest. So 9 narratives were created from the results of the producer survey. So as you saw, Victor and Eloy, they explained the main needs, the main challenges presented by producers. And then we took these priorities and we created 9 different scenarios. So I'm just going to change my screen here and show you kind of what the narrative contest looks like. And it's also being sent in the chat. So here we explain the project. And then on the second page, we ask some descriptive information. A little bit of information about your company. And then the fun part is asking the auxiliary industry to choose a story. So in vineyard management, in winery and winemaking, and also in the sales and marketing side, to choose 1 or more stories, if you wish, and you can see here. So here's just the first example. We have about a page explaining the problems that here Antonio is facing due to extreme weather events. And so the idea is that the supplier companies respond to the problems presented in the text while integrating their solution. And so we have 9 different stories, hopefully. So we took the main challenges. So you should be able to find a challenge that adapts to your solution in the wine industry. And so that's the idea of the crowd writing narrative. I hope that presentation was clear for the contest. And of course, you can ask a question if it wasn't. And so the idea is that you choose 1 or multiple stories to complete and that you integrate your solution in about 500 words, which makes about 1 page. The deadline is July 20th. And what are the prizes? So while participating in this crowd writing narrative, there are some funds that are available thanks to the European Union and the European Commission Clusters Go International to bring supplier companies either in individual ecosystem trips within the European partner countries or for overseas collective missions and international events that we'll be explaining in the next slides. And then, of course, there is the visibility and the communication support that is also part of the prize package. So 3 companies will be chosen kind of as the top 3 innovations. And then there'll also be some 2nd and 3rd places to allow as many supplier companies to be able to benefit from this. And just a timeline, so the contest will begin today. Again, you can find the link in the chat and will also be sent in the follow-up email automated by Zoom. And of course, on our website and mailing, we will be reminding you. The narratives are due July 20th. And then in autumn, we will be meeting with a group also with some external committee members to read the stories and to choose the top innovations and the top scenarios, which leads us into 2023 and 24, where these international events and ecosystem trips will happen. So don't hesitate to ask if you have a question about the crowd writing in the chat. And now we will talk about these ecosystem studies, the target zones, and the international events that are planned for the rest of the project EPAWI. With Gianni.
Thank you, Gracie. Hope you can see and hear me. And yes, my role is to explain where and how and what we do actually with the EPAWI project. I want to be very clear at the beginning that WICA, so the alliance that will be formed and built up through EPAWI, has no geographical limit. So it will do whatever the governance system will decide to do, in the country that will be considered the most interesting and most where more useful will be to make the action. Although EPAWI, the European funded project that is ending a certain point, has to choose target zones because of course we have a budget to respect. And this target zone has still to be chosen, even though one, which is North America, and more specifically USA, is in practice sure because of the size of the market, because of the importance of the market for most of the people who in Europe develop innovation. So on the top of USA, that also involves somehow these action in USA, in California, which are mainly on the West Coast. They also involve people and stakeholders from Canada and Mexico. But we also want to do something in South America, where there are different countries, wine-producing countries, and Argentina and Chile are the most important in terms of wine production. Different economical situation, so we still have to well define which kind of action and where to do that. And there is a third area, South Africa, which seems to be very interesting because it's a growing wine producing country, very dynamic, a lot of support, let's say, from institution and government. So that's another probable system. We cannot explore more countries because of the in the project. But other countries like Oceania, so Australia, New Zealand, or China, will be considered during the WICA activities. So later on, at the end of the project. What is an ecosystem study? For each of these countries, we are looking at the market size, the productive structure. We are looking at BSO presence. So BSO means both institution, consortia, producer association, private entities who are supporting business, so wine industry. And we are looking in every country if they are present, in which number, and how dynamic, how active they are. Also very important to see how ready is the technology. I mean, how innovative is the wine industry in this country, or if it is more traditional and not much investment. And last but not least, which is the regulatory framework, because you know, in many countries, before using a technology for producing wine, you have to be authorized by the government. So that's another big, can be an obstacle, can be the other side an opportunity. So that's where, Grace, if you can go to the next slide, we talk about what we do. Again, WICA will make action on the basis of a joint internationalization strategy that we build together, starting from now, together with the companies and the business support organization cluster that want to participate in the WICA initiative. Although during EPAWI, we are testing and exploring some of the action that we consider can be useful for our proposals. For example, we have been participating to some international events. In the last month, we had a session in InnoForum USA, which took place in person, took place in California at the beginning of May. And that was a possibility to show and to explain the initiative to, in the case, 250 attendees and some dozens of supplying company and BSOs. We have done the same in Spain with another InnoForum with 500 people, and again, a lot of companies. And we are planning to do it again in other international events in the next years. Also, in some countries, it might be interesting to organize a collective missions or a combination of both. So we are trying to understand which are the most effective action that we can plan and realize during the project. Also, a little later, not toward the end, but anyhow more advanced, we'll organize a brokerage event. Brokerage event is a place where entities, so SMEs and BSO or other SMEs or other companies, they meet together online in this case, and they start talking about the potential cooperation. So the idea is to somehow boost and foster these cooperation and the signature of cooperation agreements between all these stakeholders. And another kind of initiative that we are planning and is already foreseen into the EPAWI project is to make webinars with a worldwide audience, with experts talking about the main challenges. We were talking now a few minutes ago about which are the main challenges, main problem, main opportunities that the wine industry stakeholder face every day. So also we would like to give some support on new knowledge and new topics and new solutions that are offered worldwide in this topic. I hope it's clear. Again, any question you want to pose at the end, more specifically on this kind of action, on where and how, we are ready to answer to you. Gracie?
Thank you very much, Gianni. And this also kind of brings in the importance of the supplier survey, so we can know what type of events interest you, webinars, collective missions, so that we're really able to allocate these resources to be able to organize the events and international missions that most interest you. So thank you very much, Gianni, for this clear explanations of where and what for our project. And now Celine, so we'll ask kind of some of the questions that are represented in the supplier company, so we can see here today some of the actions and countries that you're interested in. Celine?
Yeah, thank you, Gracie. For the first question would be, are you interested specifically in some of these markets outside of Europe? And you have three choices. For those who might be joining now, you can go to the Menti system with the indication in the chat and introduce. And if you do experience some problem, you might want to use the refresh button. Otherwise, you can also click in the blue bar where you put the address and give an enter, or come back in the system again through www.menti.com. But as I can see, many people are already replying. So we have 14 people. We're going to leave you maybe some time to think, because everything can't be so quick. So I can see at the moment that South Africa and USA are winning. So please give us your opinion so that we can see where you would like to go or where you think it's important to go. So I can see also Argentina and Chile are quite popular among you. Canada and Mexico are still interesting. Okay, so we have 23, which on my opinion is not enough. So I'm going to give you a little more time to think. And remind if you have some technical issue, I don't think so, but just in case, you can come back in the www.menti.com system and put again the code so that it goes back to the right question. Okay, so I don't see much moving, so we can comment, let's say, the final result, but you will be able anyway to give your full opinion on what you think about our strategy through the supplier survey that will be sent, as Gracie said before, in the follow-up email that you will receive by Zoom, and that I also copied in the chat. Okay, so now I see USA and South Africa are winning, and Chile is almost there. Argentina is quite popular also, and then we have Canada and Mexico. And I think, Gracie, we can go on the next question. What do you think?
Yes, thank you. And this really helps us to give an idea for the next 2 or 3 years, you know, where to focus, organize webinars, where to contact BSOs. So thank you for these answers. And so next question.
Okay, so this question is about your needs, your limits to international development. So is it a lack of support? Is it a lack of context, which we could help in that case? Is it a lack of human resources? Is it a lack of market information or production capacity? I'll leave you think about it and give us your opinion. So at the moment I can see lack of contacts and lack of support, which is good because that's why we are here, correct? Okay, also we can provide some market information as you have seen today through the supplier, through the producer survey. One producer. Okay, thank you for voting. It's very important for us to establish a common strategy with your opinion. Okay. So at the moment, pink will be winning.
Perhaps, Celine, we can make a precision. Lack of support is lack of financial support. That's it. What is mean by lack of support?
Yes, it's both. It's financial support and also support in regulatory frameworks.
Okay.
It can be both. Thank you, Gilles, for that precision.
Yeah.
So financial support and also understanding the regulatory framework, being introduced into the country, etc.
Yeah, and context is like what Gianni explained before, all the events that could lead, all the collective mission that could lead to context, and we will talk about it in the next question. So I see for the moment we have 23 people voting.
I think maybe it's okay, Celine, so we can have some time for questions at the end, since we see that the contacts are seem to be the highest.
Exactly. So now we're going to go to the next question. And we can see the type of following collective action you would be interested in to make contacts. So would you be interested in virtual events, webinar and business meeting, business prospection trips, trade fairs, even showcasing research and innovation results, or you don't believe that the collective action are useful? Which, okay. That's interesting. Will really be useful for us to establish the strategy. We can see for the moment that business prospection trips are quite important, but also virtual events, because we are now living in a new world that use more and more virtual, and also events to showcase the research and the innovation results you might have, which is something we were expecting also. Okay, and hopefully nobody doesn't believe that collective action are useful. Okay, so I guess we can also close this one, Gracie.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you, Celine, and thank you to everyone for answering. So again, we know to help us allocate our resources that we have for the project to organize these collective actions in the coming years. And again, if you didn't have the chance to answer today, this is one of the questions that's also present in the supplier survey that's in the chat, and that will also be in a follow-up email. And so quickly, before we open the floor up to questions, our colleagues from Advid will be explaining how to stay involved and how to keep in touch.
So you can continue to follow WICA and also to stay in touch with us by visiting our website, wicaByEPAWI.com, subscribing our newsletter, and also through our social networks. Back to you, Gracie.
Thank you very much. So yes, don't hesitate to get in touch, follow us on social media, let us know how we can help you. And just to conclude, so thank you all for being here today. We hope that you learned a little bit about the Wine Innovation Cluster Alliance and the project EPAWI, whose main goal is to join forces all together. So with suppliers, research institutions, BSOs, all of the stakeholders of the wine industry through international development and BSO cooperation, and of course, linked to innovation to tackle the main challenges that the wine industry faces today, and also the wine grower needs. So I'm just going to ask you one last question before we open the floor. Would you be interested in joining an association such as WICA? So I'm not going to show these results, but if I'll just leave, a few seconds, and then we'll be able to answer the questions that are presented. So thank you all again. So I'm going to stop sharing my screen so that you'll be able to see all of the partners, the lovely partners of this project, and we'll be able to answer the few questions that have been sent in the chat.
It's now
Okay.
we are going to know if we stop the project now, if we continue.
So we were able, thank you for the answers. We'll check those and we'll finish right on time. We have just a few minutes to answer the questions. So the first question from Lucy, good morning. What's the format in which suppliers or auxiliary companies can become part of WICA? Can they do that directly, or do they first have to get involved with a country-specific cluster? If that's okay with the partners,
I can
go ahead, Gilles. Yes.
I can give an answer. For the moment, as you have seen, we are beginning. So what we plan is that for the moment, you just have to say yes, I want to be part of it. To be part of it. In the future, we will have to naturally to create something more stable and to accept different kind of company. What we imagine is that you can do that directly. You are not necessarily being part of a national cluster, but naturally most of our members, when I say our, it's all the cluster of the project, our members will be first invited to be part of WICA, especially those who are interested by international matters. So for the moment, to conclude, for the moment, you just have to say, yes, I want to be part of it. And after, we will see with all the companies that have said, yes, I want to be part of it, how we can continue and go further. I don't know if someone in the group want to add something.
No, that's very clear, Gilles. And an easy way to become involved right now is to answer the supplier survey, yes, and participate in the supplier contest. So that's kind of what we're asking of right now to be involved in WICA.
Okay, there was also a question of about BSO, but I think Gianni has answered in the written answer. Okay, so
I can yes. Expand a little bit, because actually BSO is not an easy concept. I also had to understand at the beginning. So business support organization, in this case, we are talking about development of wine industry and the innovation in wine industry. So in our case, it can be many different entities. The more clear, let's say, is cluster. I mean, Avida, Innoven, Innovia is a clear example of business support organization for the wine industry and wine innovation. But it's not only this. It can be Chamber of Commerce. It can be or association of producers or association of suppliers of company. It can be extension services in some university in foreign country. It can be private companies who are organizing like a trade show or congresses or things like that. So it can be everything is doing something to help development of the wine industry and the introduction of innovation into the wine industry.
Thank you, Gianni. I don't see any more questions. Hopefully that means that we were quite clear and that everyone understood the project and our goals. So if there are no more questions, I just wanted to say thank you to everyone, to all of the participants today. Again, so today was a little bit focused on the suppliers, but for the producers, if any producers are here, don't hesitate to check out our website and to contact us directly so we can get involved also with other producer groups and to understand more needs, as well as business support organizations and other clusters, especially those cross-sectoral that I think are present today. Don't hesitate to contact us directly to see how we can work together. I do see there was one more question. So one thing is suppliers, solutions. Wait. Right, correct, Andre. So it's two separate things, but that are connected. So that there are supplier companies. And then there's business support organizations that can be either supporting wine producers or supporting the auxiliary industry, the suppliers, such as the clusters represented here today. So business support organizations can be can represent, producers or suppliers or other parts of the industry. I don't know if that's clear for the partners, if you're okay with my answer.
Yes, very good.
And no matter in which role you fall, or if you're part of many, again, as we said, there's benefits for all of the stakeholders of the wine industry to support and to promote innovation in Europe and also outside of Europe. So thank you again for your presence today. We're looking forward to reading the stories, so the ends of the scenarios in the supplier contest. So you have about a month and a half to work on those. And then we'll get back in touch with you with kind of the beginning of the joint internationalization strategy. And thank you again to the European Commission and Clusters Go International for making this project possible. And of course, to all of the partners.
Thank you very much to you all, and see you soon.
Goodbye.
Bye.
Thank you very much.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Bye-bye. Thank you.